Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's March 4th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by Life Wallet, where the time is now to take charge.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Am I getting good at that? Where the time is now.
Don't do that.
Well, haven't you seen every single Life Wallet gathering of the players? They go
like this. They point down. They go, the time is. I'm not doing it.
Okay, all right. I'm not
doing it. No, let's move on.
Move
along.
Now to take charge of your personal health. All right, let's get to the news of the day. Matt, I guess the top news of the day would have to be the near finalization, if not the finalization, of Mario Cristobal's coaching staff, support staff. I'm not sure all the analysts are in place yet. I really got to see a complete staff listing because there's been so much coming and going, and they're not posting the hires. The universities, it's all like being done in espionage for whatever reason. So we really don't have a complete feel for every single hire in this staff. But here's what I'll tell you, okay? This staff is being built like a military operation, all right, to be quite honest. Obviously, there's the 8-star general at the top, Mario Cristobal, and then, you've got coaches underneath him that I guess would be sergeants, I guess would be the next tier. And then you've got the lieutenants under the sergeants, there's an analyst for every coach. And then you've got, what comes after lieutenant, Matt? Are you a military guy?
I am very much not a military guy. Have you seen me? Do I look like a fighter, Gary? I would not survive in the military for a minute.
I think I'm right. It goes general, sergeant, lieutenant, colonel. I think colonel. Okay. Then there's a bunch of colonels, which are guys taking charge of different areas of responsibility. And then there's support staffers even under them. So tentacles all over the place here in the new football program, the real new Miami. Let's start calling it that, Matt. The real new Miami.
No.
This is a new Miami, okay? This is new.
You're 0 for 2. And 0 for 3 with the military analogies. You're 0 for 3.
No, man, it's not.
3 minutes in. 3 minutes in, you're 0 for 3 shooting.
No, I'm not. It is being built very similar to like a military operation. You've got lines of demarcation of responsibilities, and then you've got a lot of tentacles feeding out from them. And I'm impressed. I mean, I'm just being honest. I'm impressed. The budget is enormous. I'm sure there's a lot of sticker shock going on at the Heck Center, especially in the accounting department, that business office. I would love to be a fly on the wall in there as they watch all these bills come in. But the administration is committed to funding it all, and that was the deal. If that deal wasn't in place, no Mario Cristobal, no everything that you are seeing right now taking place with Miami football, as it's a stampede towards Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and operating a football program at Miami the way you have to operate to win in today's world of college football. So, Matt, where that brings us full circle to today is the hiring of Rod Wright as defensive ends coach and the finalization of Jason Taylor as a defensive analyst who will be helping Rod Wright quite a bit. And I'm sure pitching in with some of the other defensive coaches as well. But, man, when you look at Coach Adaya at defensive back and Charlie Strong at linebacker and Salavea, and now Rod Wright and Jason Taylor on the defensive line and Kevin Steele as the coordinator. I mean, my God, Matt. And, I liked all those guys that used to be here before, Banda, Patkey, Baker, and all that. But, man, this is in a whole different stratosphere in terms of competence, experience, and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't use a military analogy. I would just use a stone crab analogy. They've got a bunch of colossal stone crab claw coaches. That's how I would put it.
All right, I'll buy into that.
So, what's interesting to me, listen, the coaches get hired. The coaches are great. But, what fans don't realize, and I don't even think you posted about it yesterday morning, but you reached out to me yesterday morning and you said, listen, we got to keep an eye on this Rod Wright guy. And, and you sort it's sort of a shame, right? Because you have all these names and you know what's going on, but you don't report it, unlike other people, because until it's finalized, you don't really want to put it out there.
Have you been watching what other people have been doing?
Well, you've seen so many deals.
Every name in the last month and a half that has been thrown out by other people that are pretending to know, every name has been wrong, Matt.
Yeah, and and it's good you don't do that, because there have been other names that you heard are in strong consideration that don't pan out. And if you post every single name like some other people do, you would look wrong,
There's 5 or 6 candidates at least for every job.
That's right. So this is the Mario Cristobal thing. This is what he does. He doesn't just make a immediate hire of whoever's available. He really goes through his due diligence and the process. It's almost like he almost deals with hiring coaches like he does recruiting. He has a board, and he goes through this whole recruiting board, and sometimes the board changes. He thinks this guy's better than that guy after doing more research, and it takes a while. And the funny thing to me is they just don't even, by the time they announce these guys, usually universities want to make a big splash by announcing their own hires, and here's what we did, and this whole big rigmarole. And they don't do that. By the time they announce these guys officially, the news has been a month old or 2 weeks old. It's just kind of funny. Welcome to the whoever, which name one of the coaches, and it's like there's no response because we've already known it for 2 weeks. It's kind of funny. It must make Mario Cristobal a little crazy, but it is what it is.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something else. You want to be the guy that screws up one of Mario's hires? Because are
you asking me that question? Sure. Yeah, I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy. I like it when Mario yells at me.
Because it leaks out there or something, and then suddenly somebody jumps in and offers more money, or does an end around or something like that. No, I don't think so. I think we're in agreement that this is a monster coaching staff. I mean, it's at a whole different level than what's been going on here for a very long time. And it's going to be very exciting to get out there on Monday for the start of spring practice and get a chance to see these guys in action. And Matt, a head coach can never do it by himself. He has to have a good coaching staff. If you look at every single Miami team through the years that has been great, I mean, just look at the coaching staffs that were here in the past. And it's pretty obvious Mario Cristobal understands that. And he's setting this thing up to where he could sit back in the head coach's office knowing that he has competent people running things every week, and he can recruit his butt off. And I think that's what you're going to see him do. And that's where he excels. And I love absolutely everything I see going on right now with Miami football.
Well, listen, it means nothing when you say that, but when I say that, it means something, because I don't usually say that.
True.
This is the most upward trajectory, optimistic I've ever been about Miami football. I think they might actually be able to finish a little above 500 this year, which would be fantastic. I'd be very happy with that. Anything beyond that, I'll be ecstatic. You know me, I like to set the bar low, so I'm just happy whatever happens. Listen, come Monday when practice starts, just the hype has been so much in this whole last, 3 months leading up to this. I think anything short of every player hitting the tackling dummy and the tackling dummy's head popping off, anything short of that is going to be a big letdown for me at this point. So I'm going to be let down on Monday, It's just because I'm so excited and have high expectations. I'm sure that whatever they do on the practice field on Monday with no pads on, I'm sure I'll find something negative to say. Fans are going to be very excited about all the negative things I have to say on Monday. So stay tuned after practice on Monday for all my negativity, fans. You're going to love it.
Kevin Steele, we got a story on the website today. Kevin Steele spoke a little bit yesterday, and he's like chomping at the bit. He's ready to go full speed day one. Like, he wants to see who can tackle. He wants to see what these guys can do so he could start scheming up his defense. And, just a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. Let's talk a little bit about Jason Taylor. And obviously, when you can get an NFL Hall of Famer to come join your staff in any capacity, I think you do it, Matt. Technically, Jason Taylor will not be able to be hands-on the football field, but he will be able to observe. He will be able to watch tape. He will be able to give his input to both coaches and players about what he's seeing out there, how they can do their jobs better. And I think you would agree with me on this as well, that adding Jason Taylor as an analyst here for the defensive staff is another win-win.
Listen, it's every other top program does this, and Miami's never done it until now. You throw money at the guys at the top local programs, and whether they help as an analyst or not, it doesn't matter. This guy's got every connection you ever want at St. Thomas, okay? He also hired somebody you may know at Miami Central. Every connection you ever want in these major programs in Miami, including Miami Central, is now connected to the Miami Hurricanes. Those are two of the top programs. You get the top talent from those two programs alone, you're going to be dominating the Coastal for years to come. The Coastal's not good. Now you add in a few more pieces. It's a no-brainer to me. And you could say analyst. Like, I don't know if Jason Taylor's really going to want to spend all his time at UM. Analysts are supposed to spend a lot of long hours going over film and film of practice and film of opponents and all sorts of film. I don't think Jason Taylor's role is going to be that. I that's just me being honest. I don't see a guy in his position spending 12-hour days at the Hack.
No, I don't think that'll happen. But
I think this was a genius move for recruiting, and it's for Mario Cristobal. The immediate splash has to be recruiting, because that's how you build your program to be a national champion. There's no other way to do it. You can have the great coaches, but great coaches coaching average players, they're going to be above average players. That's not going to get it done. So hiring guys from Central, St. Thomas, having other analysts, they still have David Cooney. They still have, I think, Hippolyte's still on board. You have all these connections to these top programs, and that's how you build it.
It's going to be in there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's how you build. That's how you build it. It's through recruiting. And so, you could put the name analyst on there. I think Alabama has 50 analysts, it feels like, right? Miami, Mario Cristobal knows what Alabama does. He's starting to do the same thing. You got to have these quote-unquote analysts. You give them you throw some money at them. You let them go to work and sort of spreading the good word about the program and getting the buzz going and get these kids in here that Miami needs to win national championships. And that's why I say 2 to 4 years they're going to be there. I really believe that.
Well, the one thing I'll say about Jason Taylor is no, he's not going to be like a full-time coach. He's not going to be there at 5 a.m. and stay till 11 o'clock at night. I don't think there's any question about that. But I think he will spend enough time there to make an impact. And I'm sure there is an understanding. I'm sure he has other commitments in his life. And I'm sure they reached an understanding before they finalized this hire. I think the other one that's going to be around on a more structured way is Ed Reed. And, also a Hall of Fame player, and you put the two together and have these two guys on the defensive side of the ball in the program, and it's a grand slam home run and no brainer, and just very impressed to see it all coming together for Mario Cristobal. All right, let's talk a little bit about other stuff that's on the website today, beginning with our analysis of 5 players with the most to gain this spring, Matt. And I don't want to give all 5 away. That would spoil the story for everybody. But there's a couple interesting ones on there, and one of them we could talk about here for a moment is James Williams. And I've been on this whole thing that James Williams needs to be an outside linebacker, and it's ruffling some feathers. A lot of debate, a lot of people questioning the opinions on our YouTube channels and stuff like that. But look, I'm not just, throwing stuff up on the wall here. Okay. I mean, I've spoken to football people. I've spoken to people in the National Football League. I've spoken to scouts in the National Football League. And there is a opinion that I have heard on James Williams that is without exception. And that is that smart football people believe that his future is as an outside linebacker. They think he could be a monster outside linebacker. So the question to me is, how many football seasons does James Williams waste? I mean, I'm assuming he's planning on only playing 3 in college. I imagine that's his master plan. Well, this is the year number 2. And, are you going to waste year number 2 playing safety when you've got Avante Williams and Cam Kinchens sitting there as well who could play safety, when you could drop down into the box where Manny Diaz was playing you half the time at least anyway, and be a impactful linebacker in Kevin Steele's offense? And I think that somebody is going to sit James Williams down here in the not too distant future and have that conversation with him. Like, it's not going to get to the point where he balks and he's mad and he transfers and all that. If he wants to stay at safety, I imagine they will let him, because they will not want him to leave. But it's the job of the coaches. It's going to be the job of the support people in the program. People like Alonzo Highsmith when he finally gets into the program, to advise kids like James Williams of what's best for their future. And if the best thing for James Williams' future, Matt, is to become an outside linebacker, then he would be smart to play along, not resist it.
Well, the thing with, it's easy to say change positions, but the truth is when we see James Williams and I ball him on Monday, and I did actually see him a couple of weeks ago, he still looks very lean to me. He didn't look like he's put on, and I'm sure he's gained some weight, but he didn't look like he's gotten much bigger from last year. And maybe in part, I think he got hurt late in the year. Maybe that affected some of the workouts and whatever. But if he hasn't put on a lot of weight, and he already got hurt last year, I'm not sure he's a guy who wants to be in the box, honestly, which is a problem. And if he's not big enough and they haven't tried to put the weight on to move him to linebacker, and then all of a sudden in the spring you sit him down, or after the spring you sit him down, he's got to put on a lot of weight in a very short period of time. Because what I saw 2 weeks ago, the James Williams that I just eyeballed, he did not look like a linebacker. And we've seen a lot of linebackers. He looked like a safety rover type.
He also hasn't gone through 6 months with Aaron Feld.
Yeah. So exactly. So what I'm saying is they have to make that decision. They should have already done it, quite honestly. Like either he was going to start putting on the weight or he wasn't.
Well, it's a delicate thing for these guys because James Williams, he doesn't want to be a linebacker,
Correct.
At least theoretically. But again, I would love to see a snap count from last year because I bet you at least 50% of his snaps he was in the box.
Oh, I agree. But remember, they really they struggled against the run. He wasn't a great tackler. Actually, he was quite a poor tackler last season. If you look at the Pro Football Focus, he was one of the worst tacklers in the secondary. So he didn't put he certainly has the athletic ability, but he doesn't wrap up. He just likes to sort of hit a guy. He's not.
That kind of open space is not his strength.
No, he doesn't even want to tackle. So to put a guy like that at linebacker when he's not really buying in and he's upset about it, like, I don't want this. Tyreke Stevenson would still be at Georgia if they played him at boundary corner. He would not have come here. And I know everyone wants to think he would have because he's from here, but he wouldn't have. And remember, James Williams, if not for COVID, would probably be at Georgia. So what you really don't want to do, and I understand why fans are upset about it on the fence. And listen, if I'm Mario Cristobal, these guys have to buy in. It's listen, you do this or else. That's my philosophy. That's how the old school Canes did it. You do that to James Williams, he might leave, but at some point you have to just say, this is what you got to do for the team. And if a guy says no, then he's not a guy you want on your team anyway. That's my philosophy, And I know fans won't like it because you don't want James Williams to leave no matter what, but you can't let kids run the program.
I got news for you. A lot of people tell me that Tyreke Stevenson would be better at safety than a corner.
Guess what? They basically used him in the box. So they used him at nickel. And
but I wonder if that comes up at some point too. I mean, you got a new DB coach coming in, and everything I hear about this guy is elite, quite frankly. Who knows what's going to come up?
Right. Now, there's going to be some players who are unhappy with what transpires in terms of what positions they're put at. It's just going to happen, you mentioned Zion Nelson going to guard. Do you think he wants to play guard in the NFL? You don't make money at guard compared to tackle. He was supposed to be a top 20 NFL draft pick entering last season. Remember all those stories? He was going to be a first-round top 20 pick as a left tackle. And now you're talking about him moving to guard. And who knows? Maybe he will. But there's going to be some guys on this team who are asked to do things that they're not happy about, but that they have to do for the benefit of the team. And it's on these great coaches to explain to guys, here's why. And, you think about an Anthony Chickalo who might be really screwed up with on the defensive line. You can't have those situations. You can't do that to kids. These coaches have to do better than that. They have to understand the kid's future and what's best for the team at the same time. Usually it's synergy. Usually it's the same thing. So there's a bad history. It's not just Chickalo. There's other players in the past who have been put out of position or told to gain 50 pounds because we don't have any defensive tackles or whatever it is. That can't be the case anymore. The transfer portal will help alleviate that. So the coaches have to explain, listen, this is your future. Here's why. Talk to this NFL guy, talk to that NFL guy, blah, 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 and explain to them why it's in their best interest and the team's best interest. Because anything short of that, they can look at there's been probably 10 guys in the last 5 years or 10 years that you could point to and say, man, they screwed that kid up by not really letting him play the position he should have been playing.
All right, another guy on the list that we could talk about for a moment is Gilbert Fryerson. And, he's almost like a forgotten man, Gilbert Fryerson. But, the thing you got to remember is he started out as a safety, And with this new style of defense, I mean, he's played striker, he's played safety. It's going to be very interesting to see if he could carve out a niche for himself in the defense as well. And he might be better suited for the new style of defense they're going to be playing than someone like a Keontra Smith.
Well, that's what I was telling you earlier. Yeah. Listen, like I said the other day on Good Morning CaneSport, I saw Gil the other day, and, he said he's not a striker or a linebacker. He's a nickel. Well, he said he's a linebacker, but he said he's a nickel. That's how he if you ask him, what's your position, he will tell you nickel. That's what he will say. Which I guess in those, it's a 4-3, but it's really a 4-2-5 a lot. Which I think Kevin Steele addressed the other, I think yesterday morning he talked about it a little bit, and he said whatever the offense dictates, we'll do a 4-3 or a 4-2-5. All he said is we're a 4 down front. So basically he's saying the same thing that Gil was saying. And when you're in a 4-2-5, there's really nobody to me better than Gilbert Fryerson, because Keontra's fast but not as big and physical as Gil. And I think that Kevin Steele wants a little more physicality on this defense. What Manny Diaz wanted was a constant blitzing and lighter, faster guys that can sort of get through the line and get to the quarterback. And what Kevin Steele wants is not that. He's going to be more strategic with his blitzes, and he wants to stop the run with more physical guys. And he still also wants to get to the quarterback, of course. But Gil Fryerson's a guy who can do a little of everything. He's not great at one thing. You could say Keontra Smith's great at really running, and for his size. But Gil Fryerson's very good at things that Keontra Smith's not as good at, which is more the physicality side. And on top of that, you're right, he has safety skills. He can move his hips a little bit. He can cover a little bit. He can get after the quarterback a little bit. And he can stop the run a little bit. He can do it all. So I do think that Gil Fryerson's a guy who this spring could be one of the surprises where, he basically lost his job last year at the beginning of the season to Keontra. I think he can reclaim that in this new defense. I think it suits him perfectly.
Well, yeah, I mean, he certainly has the experience. He's played a lot of college football, different varied levels of success. But being an older guy makes a difference, and having been out on the field makes a difference. And,
yeah. And Chase Smith, by the way, I think is banged up this spring, but don't rule him out this fall either. I know people are going to say, you didn't mention whoever. People always say, why didn't you mention
we
why don't you mention this guy? These guys have not done much. Chase Smith did a little bit last year, but these guys who haven't done much, we're not going to talk about until we see him in the spring. I mean, give us a little bit of a break out there.
We can't mention everybody.
Internet universe.
Yeah, it's just not doable, and it would cheapen what we're trying to do. But Chase Smith is going to be a key part of this program once he is healthy. I don't think there's any question about that. All right, couple other things on the website today. You got linebacker Caleb Lavalley from Marbleton, Georgia, another 2023 prospect that we introduced to you today. He's landed an offer from Charlie Strong. He will visit Miami this spring. We also bring you a story of yet another Alex Mirabal recruit, a 4-star offensive lineman from New Palestine, Indiana, Luke Burgess. And he's also set for a March visit to Miami. So the Canes, as you can see, continue to spread their tentacles. There's that word again, tentacles. You see these tentacles all over the place in all elements of the program, but these recruiting tentacles, in this case, all over the country. And, we'll keep an eye on those guys, obviously, moving forward. And then there's the baseball team. Matt, big series against the Gators this weekend. They had a media availability yesterday, so a lot of news and notes, some information about a little bit of a shakeup in the starting rotation. So Gino DiMare already making adjustments early in the season.
Yeah, and listen, I was out there yesterday with Cal Friedman, who's the expert on baseball. He actually he's our intern, and he announces some games. He does a great job, and so we have an analysis from him, and then I wrote our own preview also. But it's funny. I don't know if I'm a fan of this or not. I guess I am. So you know how the media is, and there was no. By the way, this is a baseball team that is one of the top teams in the country. Usually, traditionally, it's a top 25 team now. They have their biggest series, arguably, other than FSU, coming up. And guess what media members were out there? It was Cal and myself, and no newspapers, no other internet sites, and like 3 TV crews, 3 local TV guys just getting sound, and that was it. And it's sad. In a way, I'm not even I don't consider myself even a beat writer for baseball, because we have our hands full this time of year with spring football and basketball, obviously, and there's only so much to go around, which is why Cal does such a great job for us. But it's funny because the TV guys, all they wanted was these sound bites of players saying how much they hate Florida. So if you read our story, and the baseball stories are free for anybody, but I just put a few of the quotes at the top of our story. With Carson Palmquist, we don't like them. Carson Lagone, who's the new Saturday starter, saying we hate them. It's just kind of funny, and it's not out of context. But I will say, basically, they were getting egged on by these TV guys. Who they one of the guys who was it, Yo-Yo, I think, was saying. They asked him, what do you think of the Florida series? Is it just another game for us, another series? All the sound bites like you're supposed to say. Like they coach you, that the sports information department coaches you to say. It's like in football, these ridiculous sound bites which annoy the heck out of me. Like every game's the same. We're taking it one game at a time. We're not looking ahead. Blah, blah, blah. These stupid sound bites. So that was his first thing, And they're like, well, but it's Florida. They just kept egging him on until finally he would say something like, yeah, this is a huge rivalry and we got to win, something like that. It's like they don't leave these kids alone for their little sound bites. I thought it was very funny. So anyway, the baseball stories are up. We got 2 baseball stories because it's a huge series. So we have the full preview and then Cal's keys to the series and his analysis, which is really good. He does a great job. He really knows the ins and outs of baseball. He goes to every game and he announces the games and he writes for CaneSport, and he's a UM student. So I love UM student interns. Our last UM student intern is actually not our last one, but one from like 3 or 4 times ago is now covering the Dolphins. So not too bad. David Feronas, shout out to you.
I love Cal's enthusiasm too.
Yeah.
It's great. The enthusiasm of youth. And obviously the Canes basketball team concludes their regular season at Syracuse on Saturday. I think it's a little bit of a tougher game than people expect. They've wrapped up a top 4 seed. They will not play at the ACC tournament until Thursday. If they win that game, they will meet up with Duke almost certainly on Friday, and that'll be a great game. And exciting stuff going on in all sports at Miami right now. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport.
Hey, let me do the sign off. Can I do the sign off?
Go ahead.
The time is not now to stop watching because this is our weekend episode, but on Monday, I can't do it. But on Monday, spring practice starts. Monday, spring practice. Our next Good Morning CaneSport will be on Monday morning, right? We take the weekends off, Gary, because we party so hard. It's tough to get up at 5 a.m. and do this as we've been partying all night with the Miami staffers, the new staffers. They love to party with us. So the time is not now to stop watching. Tune back in on Monday morning. We're going to have spring practice. It's finally here. I'm super excited. Listen, I already got my binoculars out. I'm going to be watching the far sides of the field for every little bit of information we can give you guys. We'll talk more about it. You'll see more about it Monday morning, but super pumped up, believe it or not. Matt Shodell does get excited once in a while. I'm very excited for Monday. I'll try not to party too hard this weekend, so I won't have blurry eyesight when I'm looking for the binoculars on Monday. Very excited. So thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. And for Gary Ferman, I'm Matt Shodell, the guy who knows more about Miami Hurricanes football than the guy to my left, or is it my right? I don't know how you guys view this thing. No, but I'm just kidding. So anyway, have a great weekend.
See you Monday, everybody.
Hey, I get the last word. See you Monday, everybody.